Hey, Kimberly Way, this is Pastor Nick with a very special Christmas announcement for our whole site. This coming week, we are going to be celebrating the birth of Christ with our Christmas Eve and Christmas Day services. So I just wanted to make a little announcement about those services, reminding you of the times, as well as a little bit about what's going on at those services. So on Christmas Eve, we have 4 services, okay? They're going to be at 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10:30 p.m. 1 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 10:30 p.m. Right here at Trinity Kimberly Way. I wanted to let you know that this year at the 5 o'clock and the 10:30 service, we are going to conclude by singing Silent Night and doing a candle lighting. So if you really love lighting candles and having that be a part of your worship service, please consider the 5 o'clock and the 10:30 as your service for the weekend. On Christmas Day, we have one service that's going to be at 10 a.m. with communion. So Christmas Eve services, no communion, but lots of hymns and carols. With the candle lighting at 5 and 10:30. Christmas Day, it is a communion service at 10 a.m. Now, a couple things about this. This is one of the best outreach opportunities that we have as a church. Each year, we see close to 1,200 people join us for Christmas, especially Christmas Eve. And so we would love to ask you to be good about inviting people to join you for worship on Christmas. And a really easy way to do that is after church this Sunday, stop by the Connect desk and pick up one of these little invites, okay? You've gotten these before, but this has our service times on it, all right, for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. So I want to encourage you to pick that up. You can use this as your invitation to family and friends, or just give them a call, shoot them a text message. Say, I'd love to have you join us for Christmas, either it's Christmas Eve or Christmas Day services. But the other thing that I wanted to encourage you all to think about is how we together can be good hosts for our community. We have a lot of people who come to these services. And so there are a couple of things that I'm asking you to prayerfully consider doing. Number one, we could really use help with greeters and ushers on Christmas Eve, especially at our 3 o'clock service. The 3 o'clock service almost every year has close to 500 people. Now, our sanctuary seats 500 people, okay? So it is a maxed out service. And unfortunately, we don't have many people who are willing to usher because they're ushering some of the other services when they're there for their family. The 3 o'clock, on the one hand, is the most well-attended service in terms of our community coming to our building. But on the other hand, it's been really hard to staff with volunteers. So if you are able, would you prayerfully consider serving as an usher for just that service? It's pretty easy because there's no communion. It really is about welcoming people to the sanctuary, handing them a bulletin, maybe helping them find a seat, and passing the plate at offering time. We're going to have, I know we've got 2 of our experienced ushers are already signed up to help at the 3 o'clock, and they can help direct you if you're new to this, but they could really use those extra hands and smiling faces to welcome people to our facility, especially for that 3 p.m. service. So if you can do that, please email me or email Lori Trinchi. I'm going to put her email address right below this video. Let us know. Lori is the one who's kind of coordinating all the ushers. We would love to know so that we can make sure that we've got enough coverage for those services. All right, second thing you can do is also related to that 3 o'clock service. Because that 3 o'clock service is the most highly attended service, what I'm asking you to prayerfully consider doing is to actually consider worshiping at another time. I know some of you love your 3 o'clock service, and it's great, and I'm glad that you do, but keep this in mind. We are going to have a maxed out crowd there. And we want to make sure there are enough seats, especially for those who maybe this is their first time back in church in a long time. So here's what I ask you to consider. If you really like that afternoon time, join us at the 1 o'clock service, or maybe hold off for the 5 o'clock service. Remember, the 5 o'clock service is going to have the candle lighting at the end as well, so it's kind of a neat experience. The 1 o'clock or the 5 o'clock are much easier to find seats and have space available. You could even wait and decide you want to come back after Christmas dinner and do the 10:30 service, again with candle lighting. But think really carefully about the service that you're attending, and just keep in mind there's going to be a lot of people there, and we want to make sure that everyone has a seat, that we're not turning away anybody at the door. And so if you have the flexibility in your schedule, consider maybe going to the 1 o'clock or the 5 o'clock or the 10:30 rather than that 3 o'clock time slot. Okay, that would just really help us. It would help us welcome our guests. Also related to welcoming our guests is when you come, seriously consider where it is you park. All right, we have a large parking lot, but it's going to fill up really fast on Christmas Eve. And if you are coming and you're serving in one of our music ensembles, or you're serving as an usher, or you're serving in some part of the service, here's what I'd ask you to do: to park further down, further south in the parking lot, away from our front door and our east door. Let's leave those spaces open for our guests, and for those for whom maybe there's some mobility issues. We want to make sure that they can park as close to the doors as possible and get in easily. And for the rest of us, the best way we can do that is by just going a little further down the parking lot. Just means we have to walk just a little bit further, but let's park down there so that we've got enough spaces available for guests who are coming. One of the things that I know is difficult for guests, and anybody who's done research on this will tell you this, that if they pull into a parking lot and they can't find a parking space, they keep on driving. So let's make spaces available for our guests to come and join us for worship, okay? So consider ushering, consider what service time you're going to, consider where you park, and last but not least, consider who you're sitting next to, all right? We'd love it if every person was sitting next to a person and not a jacket or a purse. We have a coat room, and we'd ask you that when you get here, for whatever service it is, hang up your coats and stuff like that in the coat room. And that way, that leaves as much pew space open as possible for people to find a seat so they can sit down. If you notice that somebody's looking around for a seat, scoot over and just invite them to sit with you. Nothing speaks of hospitality better than people knowing that you want them to be there. And the best way we can do that is by making seats available and saying, come and sit with us, join us for worship. All right, so those are my tips for Christmas for this year is, again, consider what service you're coming to, consider helping us with ushering, think about where you park, think about where you put your coats, and as always, please invite people to join us. I am so looking forward to Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. This is one of my favorite times of the year. It's just going to be a wonderful service in which we get to celebrate the birth of our Savior, and we want as many people to join us as possible. So thanks for taking some time to consider that. Thank you for being a part of Trinity and really being a part of our First Impressions team simply by being here and by extending that warm greeting to those around you. I just love the fact that we have such a welcoming church, and I look forward to seeing us extend that kind of hospitality and Christmas together. So hope to see you in church this weekend, and definitely looking forward to seeing you on the 24th and the 25th. Until then, may God bless your week, and I'll see you all soon.